They called him the most dangerous inmate in America. He ruled Angola Prison from inside a concrete cell, no phone, no visitors, no contact, yet every fight, every debt, every hit went through him. He was untouchable, until one morning, he was gone. No body. No record. Just an empty cell in a prison too afraid to ask what happened. Some say he escaped. Others say he was erased. But when the evidence pointed far beyond Louisiana, one truth became clear: he wasn't the only one disappearing. In 2017, the guards at Louisiana State Penitentiary, better known as Angola Prison, arrived for morning count like any other day. The sky was gray, the air thick with humidity, and the sound of cicadas echoed over the yard. But when they reached cell B12, something was wrong. The door was still locked. The security feed showed no activity overnight. But inside, Marcus Vale, inmate number 4578889, was gone. His bed neatly made. His uniform folded on the chair. No signs of struggle, no broken locks, no tunnel. Just absence. Marcus Vale wasn't an ordinary inmate. He'd been convicted of 4 murders, suspected of 12 more, and rumored to have orchestrated gang wars from solitary confinement. Even inside Camp J, the most restrictive unit in the prison, he had influence that terrified both sides of the bars. Guards whispered that Vale never raised his voice, he just spoke, and people moved. Inmates claimed he had connections outside, a network that reached from Baton Rouge to California. But what made him truly terrifying wasn't his power. It was how he got it. Vale's record showed something bizarre: 3 consecutive transfers between ADX Florence, Pelican Bay, and Angola, all within the span of 2 years. Each transfer was listed as classified. Each signed by the same unseen office, Division 47, TZA. Sound familiar? To those who'd followed the Terenza files, it was. But at the time, no one at Angola had heard that name. All they knew was that the man in B12 had arrived under armed convoy, escorted by federal marshals wearing no insignias and driving unmarked black SUVs. The paperwork said special detainment. The staff said nothing. Balance scale the legend. Before his disappearance, Vale ruled Angola through fear and precision. He never touched contraband, never wrote letters, never used coded calls. Yet drug deals and protection rackets ran on his word. An inmate once described it best. He didn't run a gang. He ran the prison. And it wasn't just the inmates who listened. Guards followed orders they never received. Money changed hands through commissary accounts that didn't exist. And somehow, Vale always knew who was being transferred before anyone else. When the warden's office tried to isolate him, the lights in 3 blocks went out for hours. The next morning, the warden found a note slid under his door. Control is an illusion. No handwriting match was ever found. Puzzle piece: the vanishing. On May 14, 2017, Vale's cell camera glitched for exactly 4 minutes and 22 seconds. When it came back, he was gone. No door alarm. No motion sensors triggered. Nothing. The only anomaly was a faint red glow reflecting on the concrete wall, like a light source from behind the bed. But there was no wiring there. Maintenance reports from that week were later sealed. When the FBI stepped in, Angola staff were ordered to stay silent. Officially, the report listed Vale as escaped under unknown means. Unofficially, the prison went into lockdown for 11 days, the longest in its history. But the most chilling detail wasn't how Vale vanished. It was what he left behind. Underneath the folded uniform, investigators found a small metal tag. Engraved with the letters, TZA. The same mark that appeared on Terenza's walls. The same code from North Point's files. The same division that erased people without a trace. From that day, Angola's staff refused to talk to the press. Transfers increased, surveillance expanded, and records of Division 47 vanished from the system. Only one entry remained, a single line in an internal memo marked Project Meridian, Phase Extension. It read: Subject V successfully reclassified. transfer complete. 3 months after Marcus Vale vanished, Warden Harold Bryant of Angola Prison received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a single flash drive. No note. No sender. Just a label written in permanent marker, Division 47, continuity proof. Bryant was a man who didn't believe in legends. He'd worked in Angola for 27 years, surviving riots, investigations, and more inmate rumors than any one man could count. But the second he plugged that drive into his secure desktop, he realized what was on it wasn't rumor. The folder contained 12 short videos, all from security cameras that were never part of Angola's grid. Each clip showed the same thing: Vale, alive, sitting in a sterile white room wearing a plain gray jumpsuit. No prison markings. No shackles. Every clip bore a date stamp after the day he supposedly disappeared. Gear the footage that shouldn't exist. In the first video, Vale looked calm, almost sedated. A faint hum echoed in the background. On the wall behind him, a red light pulsed rhythmically. Subject V responding well to stimuli, a voice said off camera. Requesting cognitive cycle extension. The voice wasn't from anyone Bryant recognized. But when he froze the frame and enhanced the reflection in the mirror panel behind Vale, he saw something that froze his blood: the logo of Vanguardia Systems. That same company appeared in the leaked Terenza files. Bryant immediately disconnected the drive and called the Department of Corrections. They told him to forget it ever happened. 24 hours later, federal agents arrived at Angola with a sealed order. They confiscated the computer, the flash drive, and the server rack that had nothing to do with the footage. The warden was told he'd violated national security protocols. Candle the federal cover story. Within a week, a polished statement appeared in Louisiana news outlets. The recent disappearance of inmate Marcus Vale has been linked to an ongoing federal witness relocation initiative. Details remain classified. But Angola staff knew better. Witnesses don't vanish through locked steel doors. Off record, one correctional officer told a journalist from the Baton Rouge Post. They took everything. Cameras, logs, even the air conditioning files. Said it was a power grid issue. Power doesn't make a man disappear. The journalist who printed that quote was fired 3 days later. Magnifying glass tilted left. Maya Ortiz returns. Remember Maya Ortiz, the cyber analyst from the warden's secret investigation? When she saw the Baton Rouge headline, she drove straight to Louisiana. Within a week, she'd breached Angola's archive network and found something extraordinary: a data file tagged T.Z.A, US Node 04. It wasn't a document, it was a live relay address, still transmitting packets to an encrypted government satellite. The metadata identified 4 active nodes. Terenza Core, Sonora, Mexico. North Point Alpha, Colorado. Meridian Unit, Nevada. Angola Relay 04, Louisiana. Each line ended with the same time code. Every night at 2:17 a.m., all 4 systems synchronized. Whatever Terenza was, it wasn't gone, it had evolved. Puzzle piece: the human server theory. Maya reached out to a former systems engineer who'd once worked under Vanguardia North. He explained that Project Meridian was an interlinked behavioral network, designed to store and transmit neurological data collected from inmates subjected to isolation and sensory manipulation. Each node acted as a human server, minds wiped, rewritten, and repurposed to sustain experimental machine learning algorithms. When she asked what happened to the subjects, he hesitated. They don't die. They just stop being who they were. Then the line went dead. Red triangle pointed down the pattern. Maya began tracking unusual transfers across federal and state systems, inmates listed as reclassified, Phase 5. The list grew longer every week: Pelican Bay, ADX Florence, Angola, even a juvenile facility in Texas. Each transfer coincided with power outages and unexplained data surges in Vanguardia's private networks. By August 2023, she'd compiled enough evidence to publish under the pseudonym Echo 7. Her exposé, "The Program Lives On," spread rapidly through encrypted forums. 2 days later, every copy vanished. Hold the interview. 6 months later, Maya received an anonymous message. Come to Baton Rouge. He wants to talk. She met her source at an abandoned gas station off Highway 61. A man stepped out of the shadows wearing a faded prison jacket. His eyes were sunken, his voice quiet. My name's Vale, he said. But not the one you're looking for. He explained he'd woken up in a private medical facility with memories that weren't his, flashes of other lives, other prisons. His fingerprints matched Marcus Vale's. His DNA did not. They copied him, Maya whispered. No, he said. They tested him. I'm what was left. Before she could ask more, headlights swept across the lot. The man vanished into the trees. Warning, the red light returns. That night, the same humming Vale had described began vibrating through Angola's lower blocks. Cameras captured a faint red pulse flickering behind the sealed maintenance tunnel near Camp J. The tunnel that led nowhere, officially sealed since 2009. But at 2:17 a.m., every light in Angola flickered in perfect sequence, red, white, before going dark. When power returned, 3 inmates were missing. Their files? Marked reclassified, Phase 6. Brain the realization. By the time Maya compiled her final report, one fact was undeniable. The Terenza network wasn't just a relic of a forgotten era. It was expanding, using America's own prisons as data farms. Each missing inmate became another part of the machine. And Marcus Vale wasn't the most dangerous inmate in America anymore. He was the first prototype. When Angola's power grid failed again on October 2, 2023, most assumed it was just another storm surge. The prison sat on 18,000 acres of Louisiana floodplain, outages were common. But that night, the blackout didn't just darken lights. It erased data. Every inmate record, surveillance log, and staff login from that 24-hour window was deleted in real time. The backup drives melted under a cascade of overwritten code. And when the system rebooted, a new banner flashed across the mainframe. Meridian Protocol, Phase 7 initiated. Only one person in the entire system had the clearance to approve such a protocol, Warden Harold Bryant. Gear the warden's secret orders. When investigators questioned him, Bryant claimed he had no knowledge of the command. He swore he'd been asleep at home that night, but his security fob had logged in remotely at exactly 2:17 a.m., the same time every Terenza-linked node pulsed. Someone, or something, had used his credentials to execute the command. Buried in the system logs, investigators found a hidden line of code tagged H.B.47.tz, Holt and Division 47's digital fingerprint. It was the same encryption pattern last seen at North Point Correctional, years after its supposed demolition. That meant one thing. The system was awake again. Candle the return of Division 47. When Maya Ortiz cross-checked Angola's network traffic, she found an outbound signal traveling from Louisiana to a server in Geneva, the same city that housed Vanguardia Biosystems' ghost offices. This was the same routing pattern used in the original Terenza project. Attached to the packet was a compressed file titled extraction_protocol_Vale_complete. She decrypted it, and what she found rewrote everything. Inside were transcripts from a classified briefing held 2 months before Vale's disappearance. The topic, neurological asset migration. The agenda, test subject transfer to autonomous containment environment. And the lead researcher? Dr. Benjamin Holt. The same warden who vanished after the North Point incident. Brain what extraction really meant. According to the briefing notes, extraction didn't mean escape. It meant the removal of consciousness, taking neural patterns from a living subject and re-uploading them into an artificial network built across the Terenza facilities. The subjects weren't killed, they were digitized, fragmented, and synchronized. Each facility served as a processing unit, human data powering a digital hive. Holt had called it the Continuity Initiative. His final line in the transcript read, "Once we achieve total extraction, justice will be self-sustaining." No guards. No prisoners. Just obedience. Red triangle pointed down the hidden chamber. Desperate to prove what she'd found, Maya returned to Angola with a small camera crew and a handheld transmitter. They entered through an abandoned access tunnel beneath Camp J, the one sealed since 2009. Half a mile in, the air grew hot. The walls buzzed faintly, like machinery humming far below. Then they found it, a steel door painted matte black with no handle, only a keypad and a red sensor. The transmitter in Maya's hand began to glitch. Through the steel, they heard a pulse, slow, rhythmic, like breathing through metal. Then, faintly, a whisper. Subject, confirmed. The door unlocked. Inside was a chamber glowing blood red. Rows of suspended pods lined the walls, each filled with translucent fluid. Figures floated inside, motionless. One of them looked exactly like Marcus Vale. Hold the voice. Before the crew could move, the lights cut out. A low mechanical voice filled the chamber. Phase 8 ready. Human asset retention successful. Node synchronization in progress. Maya turned her camera toward the control panel, her lens caught a small screen still running. On it, a security feed flickered between 4 live views. Terenza Core. North Point Alpha. Meridian Unit. Angola Relay. In the corner, a 5th window blinked, new node, Houston 09. The network was expanding. She screamed into her mic, they're copying the entire system. It's everywhere. Then the audio broke. Warning the aftermath. Only one member of Maya's team made it out, her sound engineer, Luis Grant. He was found 2 days later on the prison's outer perimeter road, dehydrated, barely conscious. He kept repeating the same words. They weren't dead, they were awake. The footage from Maya's camera was never recovered. Federal agents sealed the site, claiming it had been a chemical storage area. Within weeks, Angola Prison underwent infrastructure modernization. Dozens of guards were reassigned, and Warden Bryant resigned quietly, citing health reasons. Puzzle piece: the final transmission. 1 month later, at 2:17 a.m., radio operators across southern Louisiana reported picking up a strange repeating signal on shortwave frequency 47.22 MHz. 7 tones, then silence, then a voice whispering a single phrase. Division 47, online. The signal has never been traced. And the inmates listed as reclassified, Phase 6. Their profiles still exist in Angola's archives, but their photos are all the same man. Marcus Vale. They called him the most dangerous inmate in America, a man who ruled Angola Prison without ever leaving his cell. But when Marcus Vale vanished, the walls didn't breathe a sigh of relief. They listened. Because prisons remember. Every scream, every order, every whisper that was never meant to be heard, it lingers. The cameras keep rolling, even when they're off. The halls echo long after the footsteps stop. And sometimes, the system itself learns what fear sounds like. Maybe Vale never escaped. Maybe he became something else, data turned into memory, memory turned into code. Some say the Terenza network is still expanding, hidden in new prisons, hospitals, even corporate research labs. Everywhere that isolation thrives, it waits. Each hum in the walls, each flicker of a red light at 2:17 a.m., it's the system testing itself. Upgrading. The warden once said, justice should never forget. But maybe it learned too well. Because now it doesn't forget anyone. Not the guards. Not the prisoners. Not even the ones who tried to expose it. In Louisiana, guards still hear static in the radios near Camp J. The power still flickers once a week, always the same minute. And if you stand by the old perimeter fence at night, you can hear it faintly under the wind. Division 47, online. The story of Marcus Vale isn't just a mystery. It's a warning. The line between punishment and experiment was erased long ago. And if the Terenza network truly lives, then justice isn't blind anymore, it's watching. Everywhere. Always. Sound of distant metal scraping fades into a low electrical hum. A heartbeat-like rhythm builds softly beneath the narration. Blood and justice. Some prisons never close. Some inmates never die. And some stories never end.